Welcome, y'all.
Hey, Sherry.
Hey, Tammy. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I am doing great. We all just finished Christmas.
That's right.
No.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
What you drinking?
I made myself something nice and warm because we are having one of our few days of winter in Louisiana.
That's right.
It's chai tea with Bailey's, Kahlua, and a little dash of rum.
Oh, that
just
sounds
to warm the soul.
That sounds delicious. That sounds so good. Oh, we have 2 new Patreon members.
Ooh, yay.
Darla B and Ashton B.
Okay.
I'm not saying their last names.
I don't blame you.
I think Ashton B, though, her B is for her middle name.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Yes. Chandler's behind the camera. He says yes. That's a friend of his. So
Okay.
thank you, Ashton. Thank you, Darla. We appreciate y'all so much. Your help supporting the show with equipment and all the monthly bills we have to pay and stuff like that. So we appreciate you. All right, Sherry, anything new?
Nothing new. Just we are glad to have survived the holidays.
Yes.
I did meet a few new listeners in the last month. A couple of people have sent text to my husband with screen grabs from YouTube.
Oh.
And said, "Whoa, is this your wife?" Yeah.
That's right, y'all. We're on YouTube, TikTok, all the social media.
Insta, and we've got 2 Facebook pages. One of them where we can say whatever the heck we want.
That's right. Y'all can post anything. Go to that page. Grits Group, Family, Friends, and Fans, the Effers, or the Gritsters, as some people call us. Also, we're having a meet and greet, which I'm going to post on that Grits page. The meet and greet is going to be January 13th. This is coming out right before the meet and greet.
Okay. I will make sure I grab some photos that day, and I will post them on the Gritsters page.
Oh, that would be
y'all
awesome.
sign up so that you can see the fun.
Go to or come see us at Sugarfield Spirits. Did I say it right?
Yes,
Sugarfield Spirits. Thank you. And I think we're going to be there from 3 to 6 on the 13th.
Wonderful.
All right. But like I said, if you can't remember that, go to the Grits Group page and we'll have a post there to remind you.
Very good.
And you're telling me a story.
I am, and you're going to hate me a little bit.
Why?
Because it's unsolved.
Okay.
Yeah.
But do you think it's solved? Like sometimes I'll do an unsolved one, but honestly, I feel like it's solved. Like they know who did it. They just couldn't.
I think it's solvable. And I personally, and I'm going to focus on them a little bit, have a strong suspect. Okay.
All right. Hit it.
All right. So we're going to open up June 6th of 1992.
All right.
Okay. This is at a weird point in technology. More than prices this time. I'm going to try to get you in on the tech thing. Cell phones aren't a thing.
Right.
There are some car phones out there.
That are the size of a suitcase.
Oh, yeah. And they're connected to your car and they never move. And it probably costs like $8 a phone call.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. There are there's no internet.
Okay.
I think in 92, if you were at a university, you could take part in kind of an intranet situation.
There was no Google.
There was no Google.
You had to go to the library if you wanted to know something.
Yeah. I mean, I know that I was still in 92. I was in college still. And we were having to stand in line to register for classes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Where we had to fill out the little circles on our cards.
Yes.
So technology was advancing, but it wasn't here yet.
Okay.
In 92.
We'll keep that in mind for the story.
Okay. So on June 6, 1992, Kickapoo High School in Springfield, Missouri.
Kickapoo?
I know. I love that name.
The fighting
I don't know, but I have a lot of images in mind about things that could be. Rolls of toilet paper come to mind. But Kickapoo High School was having his graduation ceremony, and Stacy McCall, who was 18, and Susie Streeter, who was 19, graduated.
Okay.
Okay. Springfield, Missouri is only like an hour away from Branson.
All right.
Now, this is before Branson was Branson.
Right.
The big place to go. But they were still, it was already developing into that. There was a water park that they were supposed to go to, and Susie and Stacy were going to go to a hotel down there, stay the night, and go to the water park early in the morning.
Like a little senior graduation trip.
Yes. Most of the graduating class was going to be there.
Gotcha.
Just because, I mean, it's only an hour away. It's a whole day of fun in the sun. And Missouri, even though a lot of you all would still consider that southern, they still have a way shorter summertime than we do.
Right.
So, it's a big deal to have time to go swimming and play in the water.
Yeah.
But they decided to not go stay the night down there. Stacy's mom, Janice, was very happy about that because she was afraid of them driving at night.
All right.
Didn't want them to get into an accident. So they made the round of the parties in town instead of doing that.
Okay.
Which, you remember the 90s. It wasn't like on a Friday night, you wouldn't stay at one house to play.
Go to house parties all around.
You would just bam, bam, bam. One of them got broke up by the cops for being too loud. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so...
normal teenage shit.
Normal, everyday, wholesome teenage crap.
Yeah.
I mean, this wasn't like they were breaking and entering. They weren't...
Yeah.
From what I gathered, they weren't even drinking.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I am not sure. I know that our drinking age just changed then.
So you don't know what the drinking age was then?
I don't know and I know we were the last ones. So they may have already had a 21 in Missouri. But, ours was like, we held on for the last second.
Louisiana, yeah.
And we have a lot of loopholes.
Grandfather clauses and shit.
Yeah. Like if you were already 18, you could go ahead and drink. If you're at a restaurant with your parents, you can drink.
Okay.
There's all kinds of ways to legally drink before you're 18 here.
Yeah.
Or before you're 21. So, but it doesn't even sound like they were drinking.
Okay.
They ended up over at a friend named Janelle Kirby's house. And so Janelle, though, ended up with a lot of her family came into town and they were staying at her house. So all three girls were put down on a pallet in the living room.
All right.
Okay. Stacy had called her mom, Janice, and said, Mom, this is where we're ending up. I'm going to stay here tonight. But after they laid down, Susie was like, Stacy, I got a brand new king-size waterbed at home. Why am I sleeping on the floor?
Yeah.
It's 3 minutes away. Let's go home and sleep. So you end up at Susie's house.
Okay.
Okay. That's around 2 a.m. they headed over to Susie's house. Meanwhile, during that evening, Susie's mama, Cheryl Levitt, she's a beautician. She was working on the house. The house was a new purchase to them. 2 months. But she wasn't letting any grass grow under her feet. She was already doing home improvement, had landscaped. And that night she was refinishing a dresser.
She's busy.
She's busy. She's that kind of woman. She got off the phone with somebody at 11:15 and she was still refinishing a dresser.
Yeah.
Okay. And so anyhow, on the 7th, Stacy and Susie were supposed to go to the water park with their friends.
Okay.
So Janelle gets up. She stayed at her house. She starts calling them at like 7:30.
So just the two girls went
back.
Yeah, the one girl stayed at home.
Yeah,
slept
Janelle
on the
stayed at her own
pallet.
home on the pallet.
Okay.
Yeah, because I imagine she did not want to knock on her mama's door and say, I'm going to go stay the night at Susie's
Right.
at 2 a.m.
Right.
That wouldn't go over well with me.
So the two girls, they're Janelle, what was her name?
Janelle was the friend.
Yeah, Janelle called.
Yeah,
Where
she
y'all?
started at about 7 a.m.
Let's go to the water park.
Because that was kind of the deal. If they weren't going to go get the hotel room, they were going to leave out at the butt crack of dawn so that they could spend the whole day at the water park.
Sure.
So no answer. Sometime after 10, Janelle and her boyfriend go over there to check on them.
All right.
Okay, they get there. All three cars are in the driveway. Mom, Stacy, and Susie. So Cheryl, Stacy, and Susie, and I know those names get confusing.
Yeah.
But all three cars are in the driveway. They get up on the porch, and there's glass shattered all over the porch.
Oh, no.
The porch light had been broken.
Okay.
So Janelle's boyfriend kind of makes a broom and sweeps it up some because Janelle was either barefoot or barely had shoes on.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to a water park.
Right.
So she probably had on those 99-cent Dollar Tree flip-flops
Flip-flops.
or something like that. And you don't want to walk across glass.
No.
That's only keeping the funk off your feet. That's
it.
all.
That's it.
Okay. And so Janelle just walks her own butt all into the house.
Just open the door and
Open the door and walked in. And whenever she gets in, she kind of looks around a little bit because, of course, she would. All 3 purses are there. Mom, Stacy, Susie. All 3 purses are there.
Nothing's weird yet except for the broken light.
But they aren't.
Oh, they're not anywhere to be found.
3 cars, 3 purses, no women.
Okay.
Okay.
Scary.
Yeah. And Mom's cigarettes are in the purse.
Mom's not going anywhere without her cigarettes.
Susie's cigarettes are still in the purse.
Okay.
And Mom, Cheryl, was known as a chain smoker.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere without their cigarettes.
No.
That would be like leaving without your cell phone today.
Yeah. Look, I think I was more likely to leave my cell phone now than I was my cigarettes back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. While they're standing around, Janelle answers the phone. She's kind of, now this is, again.
So the phone in the house is ringing.
Yeah, she answers the phone and they're not even that close of friends. This always gets me about this part of the story.
Okay.
She answers the phone. It's a pervo calling her, lewd phone call.
Just a nasty call.
Just a nasty call, which sounds weird. But just as much as you ladies are getting unsolicited dick pics now,
yeah,
it was the gross phone calls for us when we were young women back in the day.
And you had no idea where it was coming from.
There was no caller ID. And Star 69, most phone companies had it.
But I think you had to pay for it too.
75 cents a call.
Yeah.
Okay. She answers the call again. Another
perv.
She sees messages on the answering machine. She's like, oh, maybe they called here, left a message to let us know what's going on. She plays the message. There's a really gross one on the answering machine. But I'm thinking this must have been one of those digital machines. Because once she played it, it was gone.
Oh, no.
So all we have is her word about what it said. And
yeah.
Her memory wasn't real clear about what it said because it was just kind of shocking.
Well, you wouldn't commit that to memory anyway. Because there's nothing you could do about it back then, really.
Right. It's like noon on June 7th now. They have no idea that anything's really wrong.
Why would you commit a dirty message to memory?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's no reason to extra look at things. And who wants to keep that in their mind? I mean, I know whenever I was young, hardly any adults cussed hard.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't a thing. And I'm only a couple of years older than these girls.
So was there cursing on the answering machine?
Yes.
Okay.
And descriptions of body parts that were pretty lewd. And
okay.
So it was language that just would have shocked her no matter what.
Yes.
I mean, it was a lot of see you next Tuesdays and.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, words that even now we're kind of like, oh, that's dirty.
Ooh, yeah.
That's dirty.
That's the one word you can't say anymore. No. Wasn't that George Carlin that had the 7 words you couldn't say?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they say all of them, but maybe 1 or 2.
Maybe 1 or 2 are off the books now. Okay. So word starts to get around. So Janice, Stacy's mom, calls Janelle's house because it's already been, Stacy called in regularly.
Yeah.
She always checked in with her mom. I mean, her freedom.
She would have woke up and called her mom and said, okay, Mom, we're going to the water park just like we planned.
And so her mom called over there and at Janelle's house, and Janelle's sister, I think, told her, Miss Janice, she's not here. She went to stay the night with Susie. So Janice kind of sat back and she waited and she waited. Well, it gets to be evening.
Oh, yeah.
And she hasn't heard from her daughter yet. And that is so far. She was already a little aggravated. She's like, I don't know what made her think that the minute she graduates, she could just break every rule we have.
Yeah.
So she heads over to Susie's house, seeing if maybe they had made it back from the water park. I think she actually even called the water park, had a friend that worked there,
look for.
and, asked if she had seen them that day. And that friend said no, but I'm
Yeah,
I'm
there's
not out there all the time.
1,000 people here. Yeah.
Right. It's the first weekend in June.
Yeah.
And you live in a place that snows. That place is, that water park's going to be busy.
Right.
So she gets over to the house and she sees all these people in there. And they tell her nobody's heard from any of the three of them all day. Something's off.
So who's at the house at this point? Is it still, like, has somebody called the cops by this point?
Not yet.
Okay. All right.
Janice
so
does.
It's just like friends or whatever.
It's friends, coworkers, family members.
Yeah.
Because people started showing up as the day went on, and they didn't see Cheryl either.
Mm-hmm.
So she had friends show up. So this is, finally we're getting to the point where we're worried. All right. So Janice gets in there. It's about 16 hours after last contact. So it's early evening on the 7th.
Right.
And poor thing, 911 didn't come, sweep across this nation all at once.
Correct.
It kind of staggered in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that even in Denham Springs, we only had 911 for about 5 years at this point.
So do you think they had 911?
They had just gotten it.
Did they use it?
Janice did not use it because they had drummed into their heads with all their publicity campaign.
Emergency.
Only for emergencies.
Yeah.
And Janice is like, well, nobody's dying right now. Nobody's bleeding
There's
out.
not a heart attack.
And so poor thing calls 411
Oh, no.
to get the police department's phone number.
Oh, my goodness.
To call the police department and make this
an official missing person.
And make this an official missing person. And she didn't even want to do that because, it's still just been a few hours.
Right. I understand that.
Yeah. Back in the day, we could be out of pocket.
There wasn't this instant contact like we have now. There was no texting. There was no, like you said, no cell phones.
Yeah. And nobody had expected them since, until that morning.
Yeah.
So, yes, we're 16 hours into last contact. But they'd really only kind of started thinking they were missing about 8 hours when Janelle first started trying to call that morning.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, but the cops do come over and, like back then I put in here, when we had to get to a cop fast, we had to dial 0.
Exactly.
And say, hey, look, this is my emergency. This is where I live. Put me with the right place. And the operator would connect you. I'm not sure if you could get a real operator anymore with a 0.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think you could.
That's weird because we used to actually be able to talk to a human with the 0. Okay. So by the time the cops get there, about 15 people had been in and out or just hanging around the house.
Of the apparently going to be a crime scene.
Home. Yeah. Okay. And they'd been tidying up, hanging out, smoking cigarettes. They'd washed dishes.
Oh, my gosh.
Because
they swept up the glass.
They had swept up the glass. And since it was a teenager that swept up the glass, they didn't even put it in the garbage. They dumped it over the back fence. Because, teenage boys.
Right.
Yeah. And this is... Cheryl was fastidious.
Okay.
Always was. And the thing that's always kept this case living in a part of my brain is several years ago I saw it, and her sister, Cheryl, the adult woman at this time, her sister was on, and she said, well, Cheryl wasn't going to take anything from anybody. And I was like, that's what I want people to say about me. Don't do this. She was the light of every room. She was the sweetest thing that ever lived. Be real. But Cheryl was a go-getter, and she was a little bit of a hard ass.
Yeah.
Because she had to be.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the cops get there. They find all 3 purses there with cigarettes and cash in them.
Not a robbery.
Not a robbery. Cheryl had $900 in her purse.
Jeez.
Some people kind of say, oh, that points to it being drug dealers or something that happened.
She could have just got paid.
She owned a beauty shop. It was graduation day, the
Yeah.
day before. You know she was making money hand over fist.
Right, right.
Just from curling sets, she was making money. And she may have like had to leave there, hurry up, rush home, get her daughter, go to graduation. No time to make a bank run.
Right.
Okay. Plus, new house, and Cheryl's son said that there was a bit of a hobby in the house with antique shopping, thrift storing, flea marketing.
You want cash for that?
Yeah, because you can get a deal.
Yeah.
And this was pre everybody having Square on their
Exactly.
phone, so that
You
could
were
run it.
either paying cash or you were writing a check.
That was it. Okay. Okay, so in Cheryl's bedroom, the covers are pulled back neatly, not like flung back, not on the floor, not drug off the bed. It looked like she was in the bed and got up without being in a hurry.
Okay.
The mini blinds looked like somebody looked out of them and they got stuck.
That's creepy.
Had a little right at eye level. They were split apart on one corner. And let's see what else. In the bathroom, there were 2 damp washcloths with makeup on them.
The 2 girls.
The 2 girls. In Susie's bedroom, there were...
Sorry, that was me.
Okay. Sounded like a door slam.
No, that was me. I hit this.
That's okay. That's okay. They'll deal. So we could see Stacy, who was the friend that didn't live there.
Right.
Her shoes were in there.
So the girls obviously made it to the house to sleep.
Her shorts were folded on her shoes. All of Stacy's jewelry were placed in the pockets of the shorts. So there was nothing. Not only did they make it to the house asleep, but there was nothing wrong when they got there.
Gotcha.
They went through everything you need to normally go through
To get ready to go to bed.
to get ready to go to bed.
Yeah.
Okay. And the only really weird thing was that all 3 of their purses were lined up by Susie's bedroom. Cheryl would have had no reason to put her purse in her daughter's bedroom.
Like on the dresser in there?
On the floor.
On the floor. That is weird.
Neatly lined up.
Okay.
But then nobody went through them either because there's $900 freaking dollars in there.
Right.
And in 1992, $900 would have paid 2 months rent at a decent
Yeah.
apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was money.
Yes.
Okay.
Shit, that's still money.
Yeah. And the dog was there, but the dog wasn't a whole lot of help. The dog was a Yorkie.
Oh.
Yeah. It was a little anxious, but even then it wasn't
that's-
extremely anxious. It had been alone for a few hours.
That's Yorkies, though.
Yeah. I mean, it just needed a hug. You know, it ran up to people for love and affection when they
Here's
got there.
a treat.
So it wasn't like it had, because, you know, sometimes dogs get traumatized whenever something happens to their people.
Yes, huge. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But the women were just gone. And it's kind of weird when you look back at articles closer to 92, they're referred to as women. Whenever it's like the mid 2000s, you know, like 2005, 2006, they're referred to as teens. You know, the 2 younger ones are referred to as teens. And now they're referred to as girls or kids.
Huh.
Because back in 92, 18 or 19 was a full-grown adult.
That's an adult. Yeah.
Okay, so they're just gone. I think the cops did a pretty good job.
All right.
Okay. I don't think that there were any serious problems. Yeah, they didn't find the guy, but they did the work.
Right.
And like the guy in charge of the investigation, this was his retirement job. So even though it was this little small city, they had a former FBI officer, agent, that's it, working as a police officer in this small city. This was his retirement job.
So he had his shit together.
He knew what he was doing. He knew how to handle kidnappings. He knew how to interrogate people. He knew the law so that if he was interrogating somebody, they weren't getting off because he
made a mistake.
Yeah. So I don't think he did anything very wrong there. There was 2 stories at least about them being spotted in an old beat up van.
Uh-oh.
Driving in men's or a single man's voice in the back, saying, get out of here, hurry up, giving them demands.
Yeah.
The timing for those sightings happening a few days later makes them a little suspect. But one of the sightings, a woman who saw this, the van had pulled up in her driveway. She lived on a dead-end street. And there was a crying woman that she believed was Cheryl driving the van, and she heard a guy's voice say, "I don't care, get us out of here." So he turned around and left. But she saw something that makes me give a little credibility to this. She said that Susie had a mark on her face. Well, none of the photos showed that because Susie knew how to hide her birthmark.
Oh.
So only...
But she had washed her makeup off.
She had washed her makeup off.
Yes.
So I think that one probably has some credibility.
That makes sense.
And there was a van reported stolen nearby right then.
Okay.
So highly possible.
So we really are still thinking at this point in the investigation that they're alive and...
Yes.
Okay.
We're really hopeful.
Okay.
And some people are hopeful now.
Oh.
31 years down the road. They're hopeful.
All right.
I'm not.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah.
It makes very little sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the suspects.
This is the part I want to hear.
Yeah. We always start out close to home.
Exactly.
Boyfriends, husbands, all that.
Exes.
Absolutely. So Cheryl wasn't seeing anybody.
Okay.
She had been married 3 times, divorced 3 times, but there wasn't any real issues with it.
No suspects.
No suspects. Her first husband was never really around even while they were married. I think because of something we find out about later that it was probably alcoholism because of her age. She was 47 in 92. So they were Vietnam age.
Oh, yeah.
So he was probably dealing with some PTSD.
Mm-hmm,
small town Missouri, those people went.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. And then the other 2, I just don't think she could give up. Even being married for as long as she was to their dad, I don't think she could give up being in control of her life by herself.
She was just too independent.
Yeah. I mean, she had to feed, clothe, house her kids all those years, even though she was married, because he would just kind of drift in and out.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyhow, even with that, they looked into them, all cleared.
All right.
All 3 men.
So nobody on Cheryl's radar.
Yeah, and these were the only men that Cheryl had ever had a relationship with.
So
they
that was
always
it.
ended up in marriage. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And so Susie was although she was popular and kind of wealthy, she was attracted to bad boys.
All right.
I get it.
Nothing wrong with that.
Well, there's a few things wrong with it.
I mean, if you're just...
But they hot.
But... I mean, don't want to marry a bad boy. But...
No, but they're a lot of fun while you got them. Okay, and so she was really artsy, really... These women are gorgeous. All 3 of them.
All 3.
All 3 of them. Stacy was actually doing modeling.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, really gorgeous. And to stand out as blondes in Missouri, you got to really... Because, I mean, blondes some places really are odd, rare.
Yeah.
There's a lot of blonde-headed people in Missouri.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So her most recent boyfriend was in a little bit of trouble with the law for grave robbing.
Wow.
He stole $30 in fillings from a mausoleum.
So I feel like because the $900 was left behind that he didn't do it.
Yeah, it never made any sense to me. And, they were like, yeah, but he was talking about leaving town. So he was really worried about this. And Susie was going to testify against him. So he probably did it. And it was like, leaving town right after you graduate high school and you've got pending charges. Back then, leaving town meant you were free.
Yeah.
Like,
not today. They're not going to, they'll find you today.
Yeah. Like a lot of the kids I graduated with And like I said, I'm just a few years older than these girls. They had to get Social Security numbers when they were seniors in high school so they could apply for student loans and grants. They hadn't even had them before. We could go off the grid so easy back then.
Right.
So, I mean, no biggie. But they passed lie detectors eventually.
So he's
free. There was a previous boyfriend of Susie's that she had to get a restraining order on because he was a little violent.
Okay.
I'm not sure if they ever even looked into him, but I'm sure over 31 years of working this case,
Somebody did.
but I didn't find anything on him. So we'll just say he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mentioned that they had a brother, that Susie had a brother. His name was Bart. And he had some serious alcohol problems, which is why I think maybe Daddy did too.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, multiple arrests for alcohol issues and, being asleep in his car on the road.
Oh,
Passed out. I mean, serious alcohol issues. He was on the outs with the family right now.
He's older, I'm assuming.
Yeah, he's 27.
Yeah, he's much older.
Or 28. He's 9 years older than Susie.
Gotcha.
Okay. I guess if Daddy wasn't home that much, it was hard to knock Mama up a second time.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so Susie had moved in with her brother actually recently for a few months, and they had a fight, and he got a little... He says he didn't touch her and he didn't hit her. Somebody else said that he did.
He got handsy with her.
But they had an argument because the stereo was turned up too loud and Susie was scared. So she went back home to her mom. Mom cut him off. She was like, you are disinherited until you get your crap together. You're not family.
Gotcha.
Tough love was the thing then.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
So they looked into him, but was
the brother?
Yeah. So they
looked into him hard. They really thought he was the one that
really?
did it.
Okay.
That was the only thing about the police investigation that I was like, that's a little much.
I don't feel, yeah.
But he didn't even get invited to the graduation.
Right. Yeah.
So that looks a little sus. I get it.
Yeah.
But he did pass a polygraph. He had an alibi. All of that.
Gotcha.
Okay, so now they move on to all the local pervs. And before the internet, we could live in this fairy tale land that our towns were safe.
Right.
And then we started to be able to look up all the pedos.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were like, oh, crap, they're everywhere.
Yes.
My kid is never leaving the house again.
Mm-mm.
Okay. And so they went through a whole bunch of them trying to figure out,
Could any of these guys, where were you, blah, blah.
One thing that happened right at the time I told you the van was gone.
Yes.
There was a peeping Tom in town that night, and he got scared off when somebody turned on the porch light.
So he could have broken the porch light before having...
Yeah, I mean, if it had just happened to him.
Yep.
Several homes in the area had found broken plants outside.
Mm-hmm.
One of them found broken plants and a knife, the one that he had gotten scared off from. So there was a weapon.
So he's doing a little bit more than peeping if he's carrying a weapon with him.
Yes, he is. Okay. And then we come down to this guy named Robert Cox. This is my suspect.
This is who you think
and
did
I
it.
actually think he's the peeping Tom, too.
Oh, okay.
I think they are one in the same. Yeah.
So tell me about him.
Robert Craig Cox had not been in town very long, and he used to work with Stacy's dad. So this was the good girl.
There's
the
a
little
contact,
model.
yeah.
Currently working with a phone survey company. And they were running lines right in front of Cheryl and Susie's home. And back then in 92, we were upgrading phone lines because we knew internet was coming. We were doing fiber optics and everything else. So every town had their streets dug up, laying new phone lines. Now, what nobody knew about Robert was that he had a really long criminal history for bad stuff. He had spent several years in a California prison, and I want to say felonious assault. Yeah.
So he's doing violent shit.
Violent shit. Robberies, assaults, rapes, and even murder.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he's out
And he's out. And
and
you may
planting the phone lines.
actually know the crime, the murder crime that he had gotten, because there's a detail in it that's so like startling that even if you were halfway listening to Discovery Channel show on
Yeah.
it would have stuck with you. So anyhow, in late 1989, early 1990, old Rob was let off of Florida death row. He wasn't just in prison, he was death frickin' row.
Technicality.
Yes. Yeah.
Damn those technicalities.
Yeah, and so he was Robert, and he was on vacation down there, comes stumbling back into his hotel room, can't talk because part of his tongue is bitten off. Do you know that case?
What?
Yes. So his mom or somebody calls security because she sees her son with all this blood.
Yeah.
She's sure he's gotten attacked. No. Old Bobby boy had raped and killed a 19-year-old woman on the other side of the building, and she bit his tongue.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
Yeah.
so no, I don't know that story.
Yeah, that biting the tongue off thing, that gets me every time.
Insane.
Yeah, but somehow, and I think this was in relation to the fact that we were getting so much better at proving cases.
Yeah.
The appellate court let him off because they didn't consider footprints and everything else enough evidence.
So they wanted like some DNA shit.
They wanted some DNA shit. Even though OJ had just gotten let off he was about to get let off in 3 more years because they didn't understand the DNA shit.
Gotcha.
So I don't know what else they wanted.
Yeah.
Video
He should have not been out.
No, he shouldn't have.
And so in my mind, I'm going, how did he get 3 women, girls, whatever you want to call them, at the same time?
Look, this is my theory because, I'm a geek and I do this like constantly.
Yeah.
I get ADD hyperfixated on things. And so that's all I do for like 2 months. My theory, and, go back to that crime scene. So these girls have been out partying all night with their friends. Everybody's like freely moving between homes, small town. Everyone knows each other. Mom's in bed. She hears something. She looks out the blinds. She hears some commotion. She goes out because the girls had opened the door up thinking it was one of their friends. He knocked out the light and had one of the girls by the throat.
And so the mom absolutely did whatever she had to do to not.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they may have had some discussion. She may have been like, here's our purses.
Mm-hmm.
Here's everything we've got. Just take this and go. That's the only way I could see that clump of 3 purses piled together. Like one person was carrying them. Got them in the van and left with them. Just a thought, but it makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. Yeah.
I've seen enough of these to where it's not aliens.
No.
There's a serial killer who slightly confessed to this, but I think he was just bragging.
You think he was just trying to get his name out there and become more famous?
And if you go in for enough interrogations, that's enough time off a day. That's, a day at a time on the death row. They bring you McDonald's. They do.
Right.
So a lot of these guys will fake confess and string it along.
Just to, why not? They're already on death row.
Yeah, what else are you going to do to them?
Right.
Okay. So while this Robert Cox was living there, he was living with a woman and her kids. And oh my Lord, this woman knew he had been on death row.
And she was still with him?
And she was still with him, letting him live in her home.
With her kids?
With her middle school age children.
Mm-mm.
And so this woman provided him an alibi. So they were looking at him.
Ah.
But one of the town's upstanding citizens said, no, we were together all day.
Yeah.
We went to church.
So you feel that the alibi is a lie?
Oh, we know, because she's now admitted she lied her butt off.
Oh, okay.
So we know it was a lie. We know that they should have looked at him harder. But you can't look at somebody without reason.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the police knew, this guy, there was no reason to look at him other than they knew he had done something in California.
I mean, the only connection is he's laying some telephone lines in front of the house and knows the dad.
Yeah. That's it. I mean, it's not...
Yeah. You wouldn't want to go to jail on that.
You wouldn't want to go to jail on that. You wouldn't want a hard interrogation on that. But he did get interrogated, and she did too. But the lie of the alibi closed that out.
Gotcha.
Because back in the day, we worried about alibis more than we do now.
Yeah.
Now we're just looking for the DNA.
Right.
Okay, after Robert moved out of that house, her kids found burglary tools, electronics, all kinds of stuff
So he
hidden
was
in the house.
He was doing shit.
So he was breaking into homes.
Yeah.
Another reason why I think he's at Peepin' Tom.
Right.
I'm not sure if he was Peepin' Tom or if he was...
So they never caught the Peepin' Tom.
They never caught the
They
Peepin'
just
Tom.
know he was there and he crushed plants around the house, outside of the house, and he left a knife. Okay, I got why you think it's the same
I think
dude.
they're the same person.
Makes
'cause
sense.
You got a burglar that's running around going a little crazy.
Yeah.
And we also know this is a burglar who also is a rapist
And a murderer.
and a murderer. Like, how in the heck?
I know.
But, okay. So, and he would also kind of brag to the kids about how many famous murderers he knew. And she still kept him in her house and provided him with an alibi.
Maybe she was scared.
And so Cox moves to Texas, where eventually he was arrested and convicted for the armed robbery of a 12-year-old girl. Now, he was caught in the middle of
Much
it.
a man if you got to arm rob a 12-year-old.
I'm thinking that was about to go further.
Yeah, it probably was.
Yeah. But at this point, he had stolen something from her and held her. I can't remember if it was a knife or a gun, but he held her.
Yeah.
And then in 96, a reporter named Dennis Graves goes down to interview Cox in jail in Texas.
All right.
And here's a little snippet of that. You know, because Graves was asking him about this because he was a tertiary character at least. But I consider him prime suspect number one.
Yeah.
And so Cox answers, I know that they are dead. I'll say that. And I know that.
So he fucking did it.
And the reporter says, that's not a theory. And Cox says, I know they're dead. That's not my theory. I just know that. There's no doubt about it. And then he refused to say anything else. They did hold a grand jury investigation into Cox at that point. You know, this is
To
4
see
or
if
5
there was
years
enough
later.
to indict him.
And there wasn't. Some people report that as if the cops say that it wasn't credible. I just don't think there's enough.
I mean, him saying that is not enough. The way he said it.
Yeah.
But it's enough for...
It's enough for me.
That's what I was going to say. It's enough for me and you.
I mean, if it quacks like a duck and walks like a duck and poops on your porch like a duck.
I was going to say, it shits like a duck. It's a fucking duck.
It is a duck. And unfortunately, this guy's going to be up for parole in about 18 months. So
No shit.
hopefully Texas will hold him.
So can you keep an eye on that?
I will. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's where I'm at with this. And I hate to bring y'all
I know.
unsolved.
Yes.
But I feel like it's only technically unsolved.
I agree with you. I feel like it's only technically unsolved.
There are other suspects out there. And like I said, even the alien theory gets floated about. This has been
That's ridiculous.
31 years. One of the original cops kept saying it's like they were raptured. It was like they were just sucked up
Taken
by
up.
God.
No.
If, Occam's razor, if you hear hoofbeats,
Yeah.
think horses, not zebras. The pervert that lives down the street, that works in front of the house, that has already raped, robbed, killed,
Yeah.
kidnapped multiple people,
Yeah.
probably your guy.
Yeah.
And then he pretty much confesses to it.
Right.
So,
I agree with you 100%. Unsolved on paper.
unsolved on paper. And, Janice, so Stacy's mom, Janice, is still pushing. She has never given up. She
Wow.
wants answers. Cheryl and Susie were declared dead, but Janice refuses to do that to Stacy, not so much because she believes she's alive, but because you work a missing persons kidnapped case differently. So she wants people looking at it as a murder and people looking at it as a kidnapping, and she hasn't stopped. There's still a reward out there.
Wow.
So it's about $50,000. So if anybody knows
If
anything,
you know anything.
and it leads to the arrest and conviction of probably Robert Cox, then it's there. And
That's crazy.
I know, that's a pretty good case.
Yeah.
Oh, and that sister, not say it. That's why it has lived with me for all these years, because I've probably known about it since like 2002.
Wow.
While it was still working.
Yeah, yeah.
And it pops up ever so often, and I couldn't find, because it was like 48 hours or, some
One of those
ID
shows.
thing back in the day that was playing in the background when her sister said that. And I was like, that is perfect.
Yeah.
If you really know me, you're not going to say I'm the light of every day. You might say I'm funny or I'm smart or a million things, but you're not going to say.
She lit up the room whenever she walked in.
I'm not the sweetest person that ever lived. I'm nice enough. Don't get me wrong. I'm not
I
an
think
evil.
you're nice.
But I'm not. I'm not one of these cutesy sweet people.
No, you're
No.
not a cutesy
That's
sweet.
okay. I never intended to be.
You do you, boo.
That's it. All right. And so for resources, I had a lot of them. A people.com article, which was really great and kind of lined things up even better than Wikipedia.
Yeah.
It was by Corin Cesarak. And it was a really good article.
Awesome. Y'all check that out.
Reddit is full of theories, ideas, timelines. I love to go onto Reddit and at least kind of scope around. I mean, we've gotten some good stuff over the years. We've gotten like court transcripts and stuff.
Yeah.
And then there was an entire podcast, and I think it ended up in 12 parts.
My goodness.
That's on this.
Do they think it is also Robert Cox?
I think they focused on that a good bit.
Yeah. Probably 2 or 3 episodes, huh?
Yeah. The Springfield Three, A Small Town Disappearance, and that's by Edit Audio. And the podcaster there was from Springfield and is a journalist. So she just decided to do.
That's cool.
That is cool.
That is cool. Not that they're missing and died, or
But
the
that
cool
somebody
thing that it
went
was
back to
somebody
her hometown.
local that did
Oh,
it.
yeah. And it's a cute, cute town. The house was cute. I looked at it. I even went in and looked at the floor plan because it's been for sale. It was a cute little 1,500 square foot house built in the 50s. And it was right outside the nicest neighborhood
Oh.
in town. So the houses go immediately from being 180,000 to 800,000.
Wow.
So it was an adorable place. Everything about, and the house is still lived in. They didn't decide to mow it down. I was kind of glad.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times after these crimes, the
They
houses
do
go
that.
away.
Yeah. Well, thanks. That was amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Crazy laws by state. We're on Montana.
Okay.
There's only 2.
I would think so, because those people got a little bit of common sense up there.
So it is a felony for a wife to open her husband's mail. It's a felony to open anybody's fucking mail, isn't it?
I think you can open husband to wife, but you shouldn't. And probably what happened was somebody got their butt beat after that, and they decided,
Also in Montana, balls may not be thrown within the city limits. So hopefully there's no schools within the city limits.
huh.
Yeah. Okay.
And what,
What?
did they list a town?
Nope, not on either one of those.
Okay.
It just says Montana. So I'm going to go to Nebraska since Montana was a little lackluster.
This one could be crazy.
A man is not allowed to run around with a shaved chest. Okay.
How are they going to tell if it's shaved?
I don't know. I mean,
Like David's got 3 chest hairs.
a parent can be arrested if his or her child cannot hold back a burp during a church service.
Oh, I'd have
You'd
been in jail
7,
8 times.
Okay. Donut holes may not be sold. That's just silly. Donut holes are delicious.
They are delicious.
Yeah. Okay. This in Waterloo, Nebraska. Barbers are forbidden from eating onions between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. We don't want to smell your terrible onion breath while you're cutting our hair.
I can get that one. Yeah.
And finally, speaking of hair, it's illegal for a mother to give her daughter a perm without a state license. How many bad perms had to go really, really bad in Nebraska?
I had a couple of them myself.
So there's some crazy state laws for y'all. That's all you're going to get this time around. But the next time, come back next time for Nevada. That's where we'll start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
All right. So, amazing story. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love it. I hope somebody gets the $50,000 reward and turns in Ronald. Is that his name, Ronald?
Robert
Cox.
Robert Craig Cox.
Is it Cox?
Yeah.
I'm writing it down.
And I can't
Robert
believe I didn't come up with Cox jokes for him, but I never said it out loud till I got here. And it was like, oh, Cox.
Cox. Yeah, of course, because my brain, when you first said Cox, didn't go Cox. It went Cock.
But as soon as I said it out loud, that's what I went to. And I was like, oh, crap.
Cox.
It's too late. This story's already too long.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. All right. If y'all loved that story as much as I did, then you need to go to Patreon, Patreon/grits, and help support the show. We have different levels there. You can donate to us on a monthly basis. And don't forget our meet and greet, January 13th.
I will be there.
Sugarfield Spirits in Gonzales, Louisiana.
And I think you're going to get to meet our better halves.
Oh, yeah. The husbands? Absolutely.
Yeah, mine has to be there because he's got to drive.
Yes, my husband will be there. I think Chandler's going to come back from school to be there.
Well, hot dog, Chandler.
Yeah. And hopefully we will have many of our other co-hosts stop by, like Dalton and Hannah and Kelsey and Kirsten and Kirsten. There's so many K names.
And they're so much fun, yeah.
Yes. All right. Anything else? Am I forgetting anything?
I think that'll do it.
All right. We love y'all. Tell your mama and them to listen. And we're going to let Zydeco Mike take us out.